by Women Freedom Forum, by university professors, that Iranian clerical regime and the guards are directly and indirectly involved in the human trafficking. When I look at the pictures of the students uprising, I look at them as the talents. These are the ones who can do innovations. They are the ones who can do all sorts of innovation in science, technology, education, society. They can be leaders, and they show their leadership skills in these protests. They are the future leaders of our society, and they are being, for their protests, for not having guards present on university campus or asking for their equal pay, they get arrested. Asking for the equal rights when it comes to child custody.
So in those pictures, those were the signs they were holding up asking for?
Yes, for example, insurance for women, equal insurance for women, equal access to health for women, equal access to education. All of these signs are considered moves against the security of the regime. That's how regime titles them.
A security threat.
Yes, it becomes a security threat, and as long as a security threat, you're taken to the prison, your belonging, your properties, your rights, your licenses, all taken over. And basically, you have no more control over your lives.
And if a family member complains, they may be subject to
arrest. We had many, many occasions of that. We had many, many occasions that people, while they were under interrogations, they haven't even announced for what fault you arrested them. The next day, the family was called to come and take the bodies. There was, about a couple months ago, we had a student who was arrested, and the next day the student was killed. We had Zahra Kazemi, the journalist from Canada, that she got killed throughout that whole proceeding.
While she was in custody.
So you had a very good question earlier. What is the United Nations or international body who are supposed to govern and administer the compliance of this? When they send their monitors to Iran and they come back with a report that the regime have produced that says, yes, we are making progress toward human rights, we are making progress toward civil society, why they don't question it? The facts are there. The people are there. Today in Iran, you cannot have a non-governmental organization working on social issues. You cannot, every association has to be directly linked with the government and approved. Otherwise, you have no license to operate. Even those in the constitution, which by the way, this regime changed it. The constitution we had in 1907, this regime changed it, and they added all these barbaric punishments and all these rulings that was cutting down on the individual freedom and the group's society's freedom. So according to that, even though it's allowed, you can form an association. Again, it's illegal today. So there are, if you look at it from a very objective perspective, just like a researcher, a good, honest scholar and researcher, you go in, there are many, many reasons that Iranian regime should not be allowed into United Nations. The seat should be given to true representative of Iranian people who are suffering. You see them. These are in these pictures. They risk their lives, they risk their future, their education in universities to get out and hold signs and take pictures. Look, they are many of them covering their faces because they know they could be immediately identified.
You and I had spoken about these pictures before the program, because when an American looks at these pictures, they look pretty benign and look like a protest that might happen anywhere in America. But to explain that they're not allowed to wear color, and so these, the red colors, and there was one beautiful picture of a woman with a blue bandana underneath her black covering. But that is actually something she's doing in violation of the law.
It's an expression. I mean, look at here, people, all sorts of T-shirts with messages or bumper stickers. What are they doing? They're expressing how they feel, what they think. With this, actually, Iranian women, they are, it's not that they have no issues and fashion is their only issue. No, this is probably the only means left for them. They say, I exist, I have rights, and I do not put up with your oppression. And I demand my equal rights. I demand to be treated like a human being. I demand my dignity be respected. And
at great risk to themselves,
yes.
They're wearing these colors.
And these are the demands that this regime cannot stand. So by choosing to attack women, in a way they are choosing to attack the rest of the society.
Certainly if they make women very afraid and they make the families afraid to support them or to stand up for them, and then that's pretty much the whole country they have under a thumb.
Exactly.
And now tell me a little bit about, there is this grassroots movement that we're beginning to see. These are the people who are protesting.
Yes.
This was not just a spontaneous protest. This is actually organized.
Yes, you can see that with every small protest, you can be arrested, your property can be confiscated, your right to finish your education can be taken away, your right to have a job, or probably travel, leave the country. All those, you can easily lose all those rights. You become an object, complete control under the regime. So they still do that because they're trying to send a message for their generation, for the rest of the world. What we are facing in Iran is a full-fledged war between a fascist, religious, fundamentalist regime against people who are asking for freedom, liberty, and safety, peace. And they are not armed. They are not armed. These are all peaceful protests. But look at the amount of number of police and special agencies and intelligence service and the amount of money this regime spends on propaganda around the world. They buy scholars, they buy journalists.
Because they have the complete resources of the country at their
complete.
hands.
And that's how they cover up what's going on. But truth never stays undercover. We know that throughout human history. And every individual, every one of these people who are protesting, they are the light of the earth. The way I look at them, they are the one who are in that darkness. They are being a single candle, bringing the light of the truth. That this is not what we ask for. This is not what we want to put up, and this is not what we want for our future generation. We're gonna do whatever we can to change that.
And make these, allow voices to be heard, allow people to live their lives in freedom. Which brings me to the question of how this affects Americans. And if we're watching this, or most of the time we don't even know that it's happening because it doesn't seem to show up on our radar. However, I did do a little bit of internet research and started finding a lot of stories. There's a lot going on in Iran, and it surprised me that none of it seems to show up on the nightly news. So I have to start looking at other sources. That's
a very good question. Many Iranians are wondering, and they are feeling disappointed that what happened to all those cameramen, to all those news media, who when Iranian people having their uprising against the dictatorship, 1979 dictatorship in Iran against Shah, they were Khomeini and his crew, who hardly protested against Shah. They hardly said anything to get Shah or Savak upset. They were surrounded 50 or so in Paris with all those cameras and media, and there was such a daily coverage about that time. I was here in the US. But now, last year, there was 50,000 Iranian people around the world. From 50,000 from many corners of the world. They gathered, they protested the violation of human rights. They asked for democratic change in Iran. And with the resistant movement that has been organized in the past 25 years, and with the resistant movement leadership, National Council of Resistance, which is an organized leadership movement. And the 50,000 people gathered, and it didn't get much, it got some covering. It got some covering. That definitely got coverage, but not equivalent to the coverage I saw in 1979. So that's a very good question. If the journalists or media is supposed to be objective and represent the fact, then that's a question, how come it's not happening? If it's because